Okay, welcome to the Crow Discovery Project. I have a weird clip here. It's a chemtrail plane that was spraying like a rainbow colored junk into the air and it disappears, literally disappears. I should point out that the last clip up, I had a star being occulted and a shot of Saturn that was also taken, that was trip footage, as is this. Here's a plane shot with the same camera that I'm going to show you with this other plane. It's much further away, shot with the telephoto just to give perspective. But this is shot in video, which is much lower resolution than the stills I'm going to show you. So here comes the chem plane that I fired off a series of stills. You can notice the really rainbow hue in whatever it is that he's spraying, and I shot many of these guys this day. They were spraying all different kinds of stuff all day long. It never stopped. Look at this plane. I don't know whether it's got an adaptive paint job on it or whether there's something else at play, but this plane literally disappears. I fired off, I don't know, in the neighborhood of 10 shots pretty quick, like click, click, wait a few seconds, click, but I was firing like that. So take a look at this plane and we'll go through the series of images. What you also notice, and why I think this footage is also important, is it shows the plane turning off its sprayer. So many people want to say these are contrails. These are not contrails. It's not even really debatable whether these are contrails. That is just a misinformation campaign and people who just simply don't understand because they haven't taken the time to investigate. So what you can see on the top there is the spray is thinning out a little bit, as is the spray behind the plane there. And we're going to go step by step through the series of stills I took, and each time look at the plane itself. And over time, it's going to get harder and harder to see until it turns off the sprayer and becomes completely invisible. Right there you can see the sprayer is beginning to be shut down. When you get up to the front here, you'll see. You can already see brakes right there. He's starting to shut down his sprayer. There's the plane, still getting more difficult to see, and you can see that the debris that he is spraying is becoming less and less. We'll go down the trail again. And there's the brakes and the spray. Look behind him. It's getting thinner and thinner. The reason I started shooting this guy is because we could see the rainbow color in his spray. There were at least 4 or 5 other planes in the air at different altitudes. And I am shooting this with a telephoto. So here's a close-up of the plane. You can clearly see it. Look, just above, there's a little orb which will come into play just above the spray to the left. And I will show you a better example of an orb. They always seem to show up when they're spraying. Here the plane has completely cut its sprayer. There's the plane circled to the left is where he cut his sprayer. And the plane is not that much further away from me at this point. And I think I shot all the stills in a matter of probably under 45 seconds. So there's the plane circled on the right. You can see where the spray has been cut off on the left. And you can see how difficult this plane is becoming to be visible. And we'll keep going. In this footage, look. So there's an orb, and these things were all over when we shot in Virginia. I showed an earlier clip of one that was not visible in visual spectrum, but we saw it with the full spectrum camera through the telescope. But for some reason, these little orbs are always around when there's heavy chemtrail spraying. I shouldn't say always, but quite frequently. There's the circle showing you the plane again. Still clearly visible. You can get a good look, but you can see how the nose is kind of, I'll move the brightness a little. You can see how the nose is starting to become more difficult to see. Now there's the plane, and all you can really detect is the tail fin. In the center, that dark line is the tail fin of the plane. The rest of it has just kind of disappeared. Very strange. This plane is not far enough away over 45 seconds of shooting stills to be invisible. As I zoom out, you can see it a little better, but you can see where he cut the spray right there. So, anyone who wants to act like these are contrails, they're just coming from an uninformed position. That is chemtrail debris, or whatever you want to call it, There are orbs around, which we always see frequently when this happens. You can see that whatever was emanating from the back of this plane was just cut off cold, and that is not contrails. Not to mention that every hour of the day that we shot, there were these planes at different levels. Again, the reason I started to film, this is from an earlier shot in the series when I first picked him up, the reason I started firing high-res stills is because of the rainbow hue that was coming off this plane. And there were at least 3 or 4 other planes in view. This is the one that had this look to it. Now when I shoot video, the frame is just under 2,000 pixels wide. When I shoot stills like this with my good camera, they're over 7,000 pixels wide. So there it is, man. Another chem plane caught turning off its sprayer and then literally disappearing before my eyes. The nose became invisible before the tail. Anyhow,